Alright, good afternoon, gentlemen. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. It's episode number 31 of the Minecraft Survival Let's Play. In the previous episode, we worked on the moss farm, which is working phenomenally, and we really focused that episode on the farming village. Now, we will continue to work on that a bit in today's episode. I have some ideas for some projects that I want to get in that area, but I also said in the previous episode that I really want to sink my teeth into the project of Asgard, so we're probably going to focus on that most likely in the latter half of today's episode, but I really do want to sink my teeth into that, some architecture, some buildings, some paths, so we'll see what we get up to in today's episode. But that's it. I've already drawn this intro out long enough, so here we go. Let's get into the episode itself. Alright, so here we are up on this platform. You can see it's raining, which looks pretty beautiful, but the sky is shining, so we're getting a bit of a weird effect. Anyways, in between episodes, I went ahead and bone mealed and, I guess, hidden lightinged up the entire area. That doesn't really make sense, but I think you know what I mean. Everything is complete. I guess we're missing a door right there, but all the finer details are basically done, except for, I guess you saw those torches on the balcony of the barn. But anyways, you know what I mean. I've done a little bit more terraforming. Today's episode, we're probably going to end up working on this portion of the world today, kind of expanding out that farming village. In the previous episode, I mentioned that I wanted to build a graveyard, so we're eventually going to get to that. We might do some terraforming around the river, we might get some paths connected up, and we're going to build another house. So I'm going to do a bit of planning, see where I'm going to build all of these things, maybe do a little bit more terraforming, and then I'll be back with you as soon as I can. Okay, so as you can see, we've done a little bit of refinement. Everything looks a little bit too smooth and doesn't exactly look natural, but it does look a little bit more cleaned up, and that's basically the goal. When everything's more cleaned up, it's easier for me to assign locations for paths and, I guess, houses and things that I want to build. So that's exactly what we did. We will be revisiting all of this, especially this lower area right here. It looks very almost alien, doesn't look natural at all, so we'll see what we get on with that. I don't even know what we'll be building down there, and we'll do some terraforming everywhere here with the river and all of that. But what I am certain of for right now is I want to extend this path out from the farming village. I want to bring it back over here. I'm not exactly sure where, but I want to build a graveyard back in this corner. Kind of an awkward place, but I think it'll look good. And then maybe we'll even build some kind of house that kind of goes a bit into the river, maybe like one of those water mills. I'm not exactly sure. We'll see what we get up to with that. But the graveyard is definitely in plan right now. Kind of a weird place to put a graveyard. It's very far from anything. Maybe we'll build some kind of church across the river at some point, but for today, we're just going to focus on that graveyard, and we're probably going to build out a house and connect this river up and see if we could do any terraforming there. But moving on, let's work on the graveyard. Alright, so I've been working on the graveyard. I basically completed it, and it looks a little odd to me. It's not exactly perfect. That's what it looks like from up here. Now, what I mean by it's odd and not perfect is building gravestones in Minecraft was a pretty big challenge for me. It never really looked right, and I still don't think it looks right, but all the details really help it out to achieve the required look of a graveyard. Now, another thing I don't like is this slope right here. The entire thing is kind of submerged, so you don't really get a good look at it. I think it's fine. We'll maybe add some buildings and things like that to hide it and to change things up, and we'll see how it looks like at the end of the episode. But for right now, it looks good when you're on the inside. The outside still has some flaws, but let's go ahead and walk in here, and you can look to the left and to the right. There's graves everywhere. In the back corner, there's that little like gatekeeper house. I don't know exactly what you would call that, but this is my try of making gravestones. Some of them I looked up, some of them I made on my own. They're all very different, using different blocks. We got some quartz, we got some andesite, diorite, granite, cobblestone, really everything, and you can kind of see that's kind of like what a real graveyard is like. We also have a bunch of these pots filled with flowers. People are leaving flowers for the people that have passed away. We have a bunch of overgrown activity going on over here, a bunch of grass and things, and then this little gatekeeper house, grounds keep. I don't really know what this is called, but I feel like that's exactly what it would look like in real life. So I went with that. We have a fence that surrounds the entire area. It is just a regular square box, which doesn't exactly look perfect, but maybe we'll change that up in the future. For now, I think it really fits this corner. If we fly back up here, you can see that it looks pretty good. It's just tucked away in this corner. It has a bunch of detail. We'll bring a path that kind of winds down to it, and it should look connected up. And like I said, maybe across the river we'll build up some kind of church to make it more in theme with things, but for now, I'm happy with it. Okay, so here we go. I started to lay out some more infrastructure. We're going to be building a well right here. I feel like that's a pretty cool place. We have this like rounded off portion of grass, so we could put a well up there, and then we're going to put a house right here. Now, this is a pretty small marker. The house is probably going to be a lot bigger and longer than this, but that's just the general area where I want to put the house. So I'm going to go ahead and look up some more fantasy house designs, and that's what we're going to base this house off of. I haven't really found anything yet. Maybe we'll have some kind of water wheel, and the house will be kind of like connected to the river, and then we'll have paths that lead to the graveyard and back to the farming village. So everything's really unsure right now, but I'm going to look up some designs, get back to you, probably build something up, and then show it off. So here we go, the house is loading in. You might be a little bit shocked, this house is pretty out there. It's basically nowhere close to any of the designs or block palettes that we've been going for not only this farming village, but really the rest of the world. I really wanted to try something new here. We didn't even end up going with a water wheel. It's a little bit different. I'll show you that portion later on. But as for the block palette and the house in general, I think it looks really great. It definitely pops. It's definitely different. Kind of weird that it's next to the graveyard, but we'll probably change that area up in a bit. It's a very rich looking house. I'm not exactly sure what we're going for here, or who this is for, or how it fits in the area. It's all very awkward, I guess, but I don't really have any answers there. It's just a good looking house. It has a very blue, teal, turquoise roof, which really pops out. The walls are all gradients. See, the middle wall is kind of like this beige gradient. The bottom wall is a bunch of different white blocks. I also forgot to mention, instead of the wheel, this is what we went with. It's like a nice little cabin. It has a staircase that leads down to the water. It's like a separate detachment from the house. It's a little bit more rickety, but it looks cool. Now the house is basically completed. We do have to go back and add a bunch of details. There's windows that are missing. There is a front door, but we want to get some leaves in there. We want to get some windows in there. We want to add a bit more, I don't know, just raw detail, maybe some crates and stuff at the bottom of it. And then there is also the problem of completing the entire opposite side. So the roof still isn't completed. We need to add some kind of a chimney, I guess, fireplace on the inside. Windows is really going to be the difficult thing here because of all the gradients. I don't know exactly how that's going to look like. Maybe we'll add some kind of balcony up here or something along those lines. I'm not exactly sure. I'm gonna kind of get inspiration or draw inspiration from the design, and you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and pop up a picture of what I based this house off of. So maybe I'll put a picture up on the right here and we can look over here. So yeah, this is kind of the inspiration that I drew from. So they're kind of similar but also very different. I don't know, this is basically what I've been doing for all of the houses I've been building, or all the structures that I've been building recently in my world. So you can see the similarities and differences. It's definitely not one-to-one, but I definitely feel like I caught the general essence of what I was trying to build here. And if it looks completely different to you, then I hope that it still looks decent enough to be a structure that stands up in a world. If you have any suggestions, obviously go ahead and let me know. But I think this looks pretty cool, and it's a decent addition to this part of the world. Alright, and you're now looking at the finished product. Now, maybe it looks a little bit over-detailed to you at this point. I went ahead and added a bunch of vines. A lot of them overgrew. I need to add some string to kind of cap them off at certain distances, but there's a bunch of leaves going on now. We have the iron bars on the roof. All of the roofs have been completed. We added kind of like this balcony to the left-hand side. We have the balcony on the right-hand side, which looks pretty phenomenal. Overall, the house has just, I don't know, it just continues to look better to me. We went ahead and added carpets to all of the rooftops just so that we stop mobs from spawning. Sometimes you have to make those sacrifices in Minecraft Survival just so things don't, like a creeper doesn't spawn on the roof and then drops down and kills me. And this is what I meant by adding some string to get all of these vines over here. Vines are great, but when they start overgrowing, they can look a little bit, I guess, too messy, and that's not exactly what I want. I want it to look a little bit overgrown and messy, but not overly. So yeah, this is basically the finished product of the house. Again, just like I said in the previous clip, I'm happy with it. We went ahead and added a chimney. I forgot to mention that, but it looks great. I love this block palette. I think I'm going to be using it in the future, and that's basically more or less all I have to say. So I guess we're gonna go ahead and move on and maybe work on the well or some kind of gazebo or something. I think I changed my mind. Maybe we'll put a gazebo in the backyard, but yeah, we also have to extend this path out. So I'm gonna do a bit more work and then I'll show it off to you guys. Okay, so after a few quick deaths, we're back here. We've built up a few different things, connected up some paths. We're going to fly down here. You got the bird's eye view. Now if you come down here, you can see kind of like the more atmospheric view just walking around. We extended the path up here. You can see the leaves extend all the way around the path. And then we have some cool things going for us over here. So I'm not exactly sure what we're going to be filling these areas of grass in with, but if we continue down the path, you can see it extends. There's a fork in the road. It goes down to the barn. It goes over to the front of the house. Also, I want to mention this. I saw this in a YouTube video of a world tour. It's kind of like a barn gate. I added it to the other barn in the world. And it really just fits really well here. I love this design using the grindstones. I believe they're called grindstones as like wheels that move the door. I think they just look absolutely perfect. It's a great detail. And then you can see we've added 2 new structures over here. So the path brings us around to this well right here, which is my own design. I think this genuinely looks phenomenal. It's almost like Viking-esque with the roof going on, and I'm really proud of it. I think it looks good. We even went ahead and excavated some stone right here, added some water to the bottom. It's almost empty of water, but I think it looks good. I'm really proud of this, and we still have to extend some path around it, but yeah, this is just, it's great. It's really good as far as a well design goes, so I'm happy with that. And yeah, we're just going to extend the path around it just so that it looks like it's a structure on some pathways. And then we have this other side where you can see the leaves kind of extend and then they form this arch over here, making the whole thing look really fancy. And then again, another one of my own designs. It's a gazebo using, I believe the word is gazebo. I don't know what else you would call this actually. It's another one of my designs. I designed it to be in theme with the house to the right of us. There's a bunch of chairs here. You got an apple, you got some lighting and a nice little plant on the desk, and you have this beautiful view, a scenic view all the way around you. Kind of unfortunate that you're also viewing a graveyard. That's a little depressing, but it looks pretty cool in Minecraft, so we're gonna leave it like that. I continued on with the leaves on either side into the graveyard, so that kind of connects everything up. It looks really fancy, and overall it just looks really stunning. I'm really happy with this build. You can see with the sky texture pack how cool this looks. We still have some minor details that we have to do, maybe bone meal up the area around us, add some trees and bushes and things like that. But overall, I'm extremely proud of this area. Kind of a quick project. We did all of this in a few cuts, but it looks really great, and it's definitely filling out this side of the world. Alright, I'm not exactly sure why I kept mentioning that well was my design. I guess I'm just really proud of it, but kind of a funny thing. I kept harping on that. Anyways, one final walkthrough of the area. You can see I added some crates and chests under the barn itself for the barn balcony, which looks good. I bone mealed everything up. It's looking much more complete. There's a pathway that leads right to the front door of the house. The well finally got a path around it, my famous well. Again, that was just kind of funny, but everything is kind of completed. We added this path over here. We added a bit of a garden to the backyard, which fits. I think that's something that a house like this would have, various different crops. We lit the whole place up with moss blocks that we received from the moss automatic farm, which is great. And yeah, everything just looks final and complete. And there are some other things that I'll add to the surrounding area, like outside of all of the bushes. You can see to the left and the right of me. If we look down over here, not everything is completely finished, but that's where we're going to finish it off, or I guess leave it off for today's episode, and we'll come back at some point in the future. So moving on to something else. Alright, so here we are back in Asgard. We haven't been here in a while, and it's looking as unfinished as ever. Now, in the previous episode, I specifically mentioned that we wouldn't be working on any of the terraforming or the mountains. We've been doing a lot of work on that. There's still a lot more work to be done, but I don't really feel like doing any of that. I want to get to work on Asgard itself. I have some ideas. I want to take down these 2 towers. I don't really like how they turned out, and we'll change that up. I want to build up some walls and some pathways. Basically destroy this entire kind of console hallway down here. I don't like how any of this looks. We built this basically like week 1, and I just don't like any of this. We're going to tear all of this out, build completely new things over here, get to work on some infrastructure, and I'm just going to stop talking and I guess get to work. So we're going to fly up here and see if we can land down, and yeah, we're going to remove all of this, and then I'll be back with you and we'll see how it's going to kind of start to look like. Alright, so all of the bulk and excess has been removed. The main circle center console has been removed, so now we have a blank canvas. We can get to work, and what I'll be working on, we'll see in a second. I'm going to have to figure it out for myself, but hopefully it'll be cool. And yeah, without any further ado, I guess I'll get to work. Alright, so unfortunately the reveal of what I've been working on is kind of glitchy. You can see everything is kind of lagging and it's distorted. I'm sorry about that. There's not really much I can do. It just got corrupted, but the rest of the clip isn't corrupted, so we're going to continue on. You can see I started to form this wall around the start of Asgard. I think it genuinely looks great. It looks grand. It fits the theme, it being gold. There's lots of minute detail going on with the way that we use stairs. We still have to add sandstone to the back of this to make it look like an actual wall. And it's not as much a wall as it is kind of like a foundation, because there's going to be sandstone that kind of wraps all the way around it. As you can see, there's also these pedestals that I added up here, which I didn't mention. There's going to be huge statues, not exactly sure of what, maybe like of Thor or Loki or something like that. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do that, but there's also these kind of like pedestals to the side. Those are going to be some kind of like bushes, I think, that kind of mount on top of those pedestals. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to look yet, but that's just the idea I have, so I might as well share it with you guys. And yeah, we're going to continue on working on this wall, adding the sandstone wall behind it, adding pathing and like leveling it out so it's all on this same like level of sandstone that I'm standing on right now. Like all of this is going to be continued out. out, and it's going to be one continuous platform, and then we'll start building houses on it and pathways and all of that. But for right now, this is all I have, so I'm going to continue to work on it. I'm going to iron some things out, get some more sandstone collected, build some more sandstone out, and as soon as I have another progress update, I'll be back with you guys. Okay, so here we are, another quick progress update. You can see I got all of the sandstone in. I almost liked the way it looked previously, but this looks a bit more fortified. It looks like an actual barricade that's going to be holding together a floor, so we'll see how that evolves. I also went ahead and added the bushes. There's just a bunch of different leaves mixed in here. I was almost thinking to do some kind of like leaf carving statues, but we're going to have statues on the pedestal, so might as well just do regular statues and then leaf bushes to the side. I think that they look fancy and kind of like rich, and I like the look of them, so we're going to leave that. But now it's time to move on to the statues themselves. So I'm going to move into a creative test world, see what I can build up, see kind of the style I'm going for, see the height I'm going for. Do I want it to block off the majority of the main kind of like kingdom of Asgard? I don't know what we're calling that tower, but yeah, I'm going to go ahead, jump into creative test world, figure some things out, and then we'll be back and maybe we'll get to work on building the statues themselves. Alright, so here we are in my creative test world. You can see there's a bunch of different projects that we worked on and added to the world, and these are the statues I've been working on, and I know they look genuinely bad. I mean, they look like pixel art. That's not the look I want to go for. I want it to be fancy and I guess elegant and look classy, and what I have here is something that I completely put together myself, and it genuinely looks bad. I mean, it looks like pixel art Thor. You can see that it's Thor. He has the hammer, he has the belt, he has the chest piece. Also, this block right here, I didn't know this existed. It looks phenomenal. We're definitely going to have to incorporate it in the world somehow. I wonder if it goes with glowstone. Not exactly, but yeah, that block, that gold, I don't even know what it's called. I guess there you go, raw gold. It looks phenomenal. We're definitely going to incorporate that. But yeah, again, this looks genuinely bad. I just wanted to show you all the progress of me evolving some of the builds. We have a cape going on over here. It just looks silly, and I don't think it would really fit in with the rest of the aesthetic of Asgard. So I'm going to keep on working, look up some designs on Google and Pinterest, see if I could kind of incorporate anything like that into one of my own builds, kind of morph something together. So yeah, we'll see where this evolves to, but I'm going to keep working. Alright, so unfortunately I wasn't exactly able to come up with anything by myself, so I went ahead and basically more or less copied this design off of Google. It's not exactly one-to-one. I've made my own changes in the arms, but I can't claim credit for it. You can see that I've built my own weapon to the right of it. There's like Thor's hammer, and then there's the axe, which I think looks a bit better. Maybe we'll have one statue with the axe, one with the hammer, but I think we're just going to go with the axe for both statues. It looks good. It's some kind of like a Norwegian, I guess, Viking guard with a big axe with a big beard. We went with the exact same block, but there's also some different tones in there. So we have some of the polished for the actual sword, or sorry, axe itself, and then the beard is made up of granite. The eyes and the mouth are like flaming, which looks pretty cool. He has a hat going on with some polished andesite. I generally think that this is a pretty cool design. Maybe we should have went with gold to like complement, or I guess accent with the rest of Asgard so it fits in, but I think the stone looks pretty good for a statue. There's a bunch of little details and things going on, so like I said, I can throw up the original design, but I kind of morphed it into something more along the lines of what I wanted, something a little bit more kind of Asgardian and grand, and it's a little bit smaller too, so some of the proportions had to change. But overall, I'm extremely happy with it, so I guess we're going to go ahead and take this and then build it in our world. So I have to go collect up a few of the blocks. Good thing we have all of that andesite from mining out the thing under our base. But yeah, I'm going to get to work on that. We're going to build 2 of them, and overall it's just way better than whatever this was. So yeah, I'm going to get to work and I'll show you guys the progress update. And would you look at that? I think that genuinely looks phenomenal. They look epic. They look perfect. I think the stone really works. I was kind of worried that it wouldn't work against all of the gold, but it kind of fits in with the mountains, so that looks pretty cool. I definitely think that the changes I made here were appropriate. You know, you can see I lifted up the sandstone pedestal by 1 block just to kind of give it an elevation. I don't know. Maybe we will have to increase the height of the actual castle itself back there. It's not exactly tall enough, and some more things are going to obstruct it eventually, so we're going to increase that in the future. But for right now, judging off the statues themselves, I think they look epic. I think they look menacing. They look like they fit this Asgardian, or I guess Viking Norse theme. There's definitely going to be some more statues behind them and some more houses and all of that, but for right now, there's a lot of detail that went into these things, and I think it really paid off. It really does look good, and wow, it was really annoying to build these things in survival, but I definitely think it was worth it. So here's like a bit of a side angle for you, but overall, I'm just really happy with these 2 buildings. I'm really happy with the progress that we've gotten done on Asgard so far, and we're only going to make more progress. So here we go. Let's move on to something else. Alright, so the next thing that I worked on is building out these two new gate towers. I'm not exactly sure what I'm calling this yet or what it's supposed to be called, but it's basically a gate and it looks 100 times better than what we previously had. Using the walls really gives it that sleek look. They're taller, they're grander, they're more epic, they're more accurate to the actual Marvel Cinematic Universe, so I'm much more happy with them. I mean, just take a look at these old ones. They're short, they're bulky, they're just not anywhere close to as good as the new ones. I still have to kind of finish off the structure and wrap them around with a ring, which we'll do in a second, but I just wanted to go ahead and show you the night and day difference of how much worse these old ones look to the new ones, and I'm really happy with how the new ones are looking like. So yeah, I'm going to continue, finish off the project, and then I'll be back. Alright, so here we are with a bird's eye view, and you can kind of start to grasp at how different these two rings are. I'm not exactly sure if I'm happy with them yet. I think they look a little bit odd. The benefits to this is that it kind of leaves more room, and like it's just a little bit more open when walking down the strip, just so you could see more of the island. That's kind of what I was hoping to kind of achieve, and they are very different in design principle too. It's more of like these bushes being held up by these golden rings instead of like these golden rings that kind of just have a garden on them. So that's very different. But once we remove this old gate, then you'll start to see that the island is much more visible, and overall I think I am more happy with it. Maybe it doesn't look as good as far as the rings go, but the gates, the towers look much better, and overall I think it's just going to make it so that the entire build is much more visible. So I'm going to go ahead, tear this down, and then we'll get one final look. Alright, so we removed the previous towers, and doesn't that look better? I mean, everything is clear. You can see the statues clearly from all the way back here. Nothing is obstructed. I mean, there's a little bit of obstruction, but it's very minimal compared to what it used to be. The bushes are maybe a little bit too high. Maybe we'll take those down one bit, and I'm still not completely sold on that new ring design, but everything just looks so much more visible, and that's exactly what I wanted to achieve, so I'm happy about that. But we're going to continue working on this project. I'm not exactly sure where we're going to go on from here, but I'm happy with what we have so far. Alright, so this is what I'm thinking for this area right here. We have the main kind of hallway aisle that leads all the way down into the castle door itself, and then on either side we have these big kind of planters, that's what I'm calling them right now. In the kind of empty areas we're going to have statues or some kind of podiums, and then in the grassy areas we're going to have flower beds or maybe more of those like bush gardens. But then we have these four kind of open areas here where we're going to have some kind of towers rise up into the air. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to look like right now, but I think they're going to be like all different heights, and then we're going to connect them all with arches. It's going to be this, I guess, intersection area where you'll be able to go like forward to the castle or left or right to various parts of the world, and the path is going to break out into all of the various different houses, and that's kind of what I have planned for right now. This is what it looks like all the way down from over here. The paths are also going to branch out to the left and right of the main castle, and all of the kind of houses are going to have paths that lead to them. The houses are going to be on either side of here. This is where the actual main city is going to be built up, but for right now we're just kind of working on this main aisle right here. I want to get that done, and then we can branch out, because that's really more or less the main, or I guess most important part of the entire build, this kind of one main aisle that you walk down, and then everything else is just kind of fluff and detail. It'll all be really nice and detailed and all that. I'm not saying that I'm not going to work on it as hard, but this main aisle is kind of what you're going to be walking down the most. Okay, so I've put a bit of work on these four towers, the intersection that I was talking about in the previous clip. We have the arches going. If you can't really see what I'm going for here, there's supposed to be torches. You know, we have the smoke and the magma. I'm missing a magma block there. I'll fix that in a second. But yeah, there's supposed to be these four epic torches that are forever lit. They don't go out, and they kind of like power Asgard. That's kind of what I'm going for here. I know this isn't really in the Marvel Cinematic Universe or anything like that, but I feel like thematically that works. It looks pretty cool. So yeah, I'm happy with how they're looking so far. I like the shape. Maybe they're not exactly the right scale. Maybe they should be a little bit taller. Maybe the castle itself down there should be a little bit taller. So we'll adjust scales in the future, but for right now, the actual shape of everything, the arcs, I'm pretty happy with. I think it looks decent. Again, we're going to have to add a bit more detail. Right now, we just have kind of like the gold end stone and sandstone, and that's getting a little bit plainy and kind of ugly at some points. And when we fill out the rest of the city, it's all just going to be gold and sandstone, and that's not exactly what I'm going for. So we're going to have to incorporate some more green, some more luscious elements, kind of like grass and flowers and all of that, and maybe even incorporate some other blocks like we have the andesite up here for the statues. So I'm not exactly sure how we're going to make everything look better, I guess, but for right now, I think this is a decent start to the hall. So I'm going to continue working on some of those platforms over there, and then we'll see where that gets us. Okay, so quick progress update. If you turn around over here, you can see I've added 2 new green things. If we walk down the hall, you can see exactly what they are. If you're guessing dinosaur, then you're wrong. They're supposed to be like galloping steeds. We have this exact same design over in the overworld by the castle area. Only in the overworld, we're using diorite, so we have slabs and stairs and walls. Here, we're just using the full blocks, just using leaves. They're supposed to be kind of like bush carvings. I think those are pretty cool, or what are they called? Like hedge carvings or whatever, statues. I'm not sure. I think they look epic. 2 steeds facing each other, galloping, kind of elevating the world. You know, these steeds are pretty short, and then the statues behind them on these podiums are going to be even taller, and then the torches are going to be even taller, and the castle is going to be even taller, so it's just going to be like a continuous elevating structure, only a bunch of different structures. I think you guys know what I'm talking about there. I've kind of explained that poorly, but I have absolutely no idea what we're going to be putting on these podiums over here. I want to put statues of like Thor and Loki and Odin and Freya. I don't think I'm going to be able to achieve that, especially not in such a small space. We have like a 7x7 there, and I just don't think that's enough room for those statues. Maybe it is. Maybe I could do some kind of mini statue builds, but I don't know if I'm exactly good enough to build anything like that. I don't know if I can find anything like that on the internet. So if I can, if I do, I'll see, but I don't know. If I won't be able to do that, if I'm not able to do that, then give me some design inspiration, give me some ideas that I can put on those podiums. But for right now, I think this looks pretty good, and I think honestly we're probably going to leave Asgard off. We've done a ton of work in today's episode, so maybe we'll move on to something else. Alright, but I think that's where we're going to leave off Asgard in today's episode. I feel like, honestly, we've gotten a huge amount of work done. We haven't worked on anything like this in Asgard for a really long time. I feel like the Bifrost and the main castle is like the only kind of things that I've built up that have given you guys a kind of look into my head at what I wanted this project to be. And now we have the wall, we have the statues, the torches, the kind of leaf horses. All of that is looking phenomenal. We also have these 2 towers that I built up here. And I think that this project is looking so good, especially backing up from it right now. You can kind of see the scale, and it looks really great. I'm excited to continue working on it. I'm also intimidated because, again, working on this project is really difficult. Everything's extremely unique, and it has to be in theme, and it has to be using these kind of blocks that you can't really do a lot with. There's not a lot that you can do with this gold block. Sandstone you can do a lot with, but it's just all very one-tone, or I guess two-tone, and that can get a little bit boring, but we'll have to find ways to spice things up. So yeah, that's all for today's episode for Asgard. Alright, but unfortunately that's going to be all for today's episode. I do hope all of you enjoyed it. I'm not exactly sure how long this one's going to be, if it's going to be on the shorter or longer side, hopefully on the longer side, but if it's on the shorter side, then hopefully it's short and sweet. Anyways, we got a bunch of work done in the overworld. All of that is looking great. We got a ton of work done on Asgard, which I'm incredibly proud of. We're finally in the swing of things where we can continue to progress on it and build up buildings and structures and different statues and kind of make it look like Asgard, not just a random floating island mass in space or in the end that doesn't look like particularly anything other than the one main gold castle. Now we actually have a bunch of structures that build it up and make it look cool and fascinating, and hopefully it does look cool. Hopefully you guys like the direction I'm taking it in. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say about episode number 31, which is now in the books. We'll see what we get up to in episode number 32. I have no idea. Maybe we'll go to the Spruce Forest and work on the lodge. We'll definitely continue to work on Asgard, but I'm pretty unsure on what we'll do in the episodes to come, so that's exciting. But again, that's it for today's episode. I hope you all enjoy it. I hope to see you in the next one, and I hope you have a great day. See you guys.